the thing. Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about the fact that people have an idea of what full stack is, and that idea does not match up with reality and the literal words on the landing page, or any of our content that's promoted it. And this is not unique to full stack. Like services, it's not just because it's a program. Like this happens with services as well. And it's absolutely fascinating that people hear about your program and then create a reality about it in their head that just does not match reality at all.
Yeah. So you talk a lot about make noise, listen for signal.
Yeah.
And the conversation we started to have about this, which we're going to have right here and now, is how much signal, how do you interpret the signal? So the signal we're getting from people is, did I miss when the cohort starts? Like the cohort already started.
Yeah.
What happens if I join late? But we are getting a lot of questions about joining the cohort late.
Yeah.
Not a cohort. Just not a cohort. Self-paced.
Not a cohort. I've got to read the exact message. The cohort kicked off in early January. What does this mean for my participation, getting support, etc.? If I join, say, in mid-March, the rest of the questions are, totally like, what's the vibe inside of the community, all that stuff. But the cohort kicked off in early Jan. And I'm sure there's people listening to this right now in full stack that also had this question.
Yeah. But here's the aha. The reason this even matters is because we tell people listen for signal. So I messaged when you shared this with me, and you were like, I don't understand how we can make this, how do we make this more clear to people? That's not a cohort. And my question was, are we missing the signal?
Right.
Like, is this the signal that we tell other people to listen for? It's like, okay, everyone is saying, when's the cohort kickoff?
Right.
And we're like, it's not a cohort, but it's like, all right, well, at what point are we square pegging the round hole on this idea that it is a self-paced ongoing rolling coaching program that is self-paced, and we kind of time box you into this 90-day thing? Like, is that too confusing of an idea? And people just want a cohort because it's easy to understand, right? This is the aha about it all.
Right.
And so you were like, it's not a cohort. I was like, I agree, it's not a cohort. So are we missing the signal by just not turning it into a cohort? Or are we tell people, like, you have to interpret it. You have to decide what feedback to accept and what changes to make. What's your take?
Yeah. Here's the problem that I'm facing. There are many different ways to run a program, and sometimes you just don't know the right way until you try a bunch of them. So that is true. And at the same time, it is also equally as true that if you listen to every single thing a potential customer or even a customer says, and you keep changing things based on that, you're also listening too much to customers and potentially screwing yourself over. So,
right, if I listen to my customers, like the whole Henry Ford thing is like the
exactly. Yeah,
so well.
exactly.
If I listen to what my customers wanted, they would have said a faster horse.
Mm-hmm.
No one would have said build me a car. So there's part of this that's like, my customers trying to perceive the thing that they're looking at, or trying to understand how they want to solve their problem based on existing mental scaffolding. How do we rewire that
right
to show them that you thought you wanted a cohort, but what you really needed was a 90-day self-paced program?
Right. I think, okay, before we get into the details, back into the details, I want to stay up high because this is where it's really important for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone, especially as solos, when you don't have people to talk about this with, right? So you're getting all these customer signals and you don't have like a peer group. Well, I mean, you do with us. That's like part of why this is so important. But you need a peer group to be like, hey, these are some signals I'm getting. What would you do in this situation, or what should I do next? And there's like avenues you can take where it's like more specific surveys or like interviews or whatever the hell, A/B testing shit, like changing how you talk about things in sales conversations. But at a high level, Nick, like before we get back into what's happening with our program, what's your best advice when you're getting totally conflicting signals? It's a new program. Everyone in this program is launching something new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your first step? What's your best advice when you're like, "What the hell?" And pretend it's not for us because we can't we can't seem to take our own advice extremely well.
Well, I just think it's hard to read the label from inside the jar. So there's like that element of it.
Yeah.
I try to drink my own whiskey as much as possible and make sure I'm like doing the thing. Because part of this work, especially as a solo, is like I'm doing the thing that I say that I tell other people to do.
Mhm.
I think that's a super important thing. And you were a really good example of that too, because you're like, you just posted that thing about I'm kind of pre-launching this updated version of content sparring, and you
Mhm.
went through this whole process. So drinking your own whiskey is a really important part of this. But to your question, um, we, I would retro on this. I would encourage anyone who's facing this thing and they're saying, okay, the signal's telling me this. Like, let's think through this. Well, I would retro on it. So in our situation, the retro is we intentionally did not do a cohort
Right.
because the marketing cycles on a cohort are incredibly demanding. You've run cohorts before and kind of exhaust
Super
initial demand.
exhausting. Didn't like them.
There's a whole bunch of reasons why the cohort model is really tough
Yeah.
to crack. They're not, the cohort model is a fantastic model. It's also really difficult.
Yeah.
The ongoing rolling membership model, also very tough for different reasons.
Mhm.
But I think the intensity of the marketing cycle of a cohort model is where I think the thing that we really wanted to avoid.
Yeah.
And the constant launching is like really weighs you down.
Yep.
So there was a lot of reason why we chose not to do that. And the question is well, why do people? I think the nature of a program like this is it has a lot to do with existing mental scaffold. Just it is so closely tethered to cohort models that people just assume that's what it is. But I kind of lost sight of your initial question. What would I tell someone else to do? I would tell them to retro.
Okay. So let's retro then. So because I think it's cool for people to see us work through this out loud because like we're literally gonna be making changes. And sorry if that's my phone like won't stop vibrating.
Stop
I'm gonna put it
vibrating.
on do not disturb. Here we go. I can hear it in my mic. It's driving me crazy. um it's cool for people to see the changes that we're gonna make and will have made because we're gonna keep making them. And it's just cool to see the process. So in retrospect, like we do not want to do like I still don't want to do cohorts. I also don't think that's the best way to teach everyone because cohorts are live teaching. And I don't think that this requires live teaching. I think that the workbook is really good and I like the self-paced nature of it. And I also don't think cuz cohorts have a you have a group and you're with that one group the whole time.
Well, hold on. Let's pause on that idea.
Okay.
Cohort, the existing mental scaffolding of a cohort is
Mhm.
that it is live teaching. A cohort is not by definition live teaching. It's by definition everyone goes through the same material at the same time at the same pace.
Right.
So we don't necessarily have to do it live. Like
That's true.
we can
Mm.
still
So
time
that
delay it.
but that's exactly where I was getting to with my next point is I
Mm,
don't think that this program should have everyone going through it in the same way at the same pace.
I
I
agree.
don't think it's
I don't want to
necessary.
time delay. I think time delaying access to the material has has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an example. I'm in the Category Design Academy right now. It's a 10-month cohort. I think with all the extra stuff
Do
they
they do
throw, it's
live
like
teaching?
it's a year-long cohort. No. So the way they do it
Interesting.
is
Okay.
they release new material every week. It's all self-paced in that way.
Mhm.
And then they do workshops every week or whatever to jam on the material that you just learned, and it kind of all builds on itself. So it's super they don't they call them workshops, but they're more so the way that like we host a group coaching session where like everyone's kind of working on aggregating all of the things that you learn in a different way in their own way. And so it builds on itself in that way.
Okay.
But the whole point is that they're not teaching it live. You're learning asynchronously and then you're jamming in the same way that we do live.
Got it.
So I appreciate that part about the model, but they're time delaying access to the material. And I think there's a lot of good to it because you can't just binge the whole thing in a weekend and be like, I totally forgot and I didn't synthesize the thing. But it's also like I'm very eager for the next thing. I'm like always very much looking forward to Monday morning at all 10 a.m. when I get a notification that the next thing was unlocked.
You could argue that that's extremely beneficial to them because you're constantly engaged.
There are for sure. I think, but there are a lot of people who have fallen way behind, like people who show up in the
Yeah,
same way. They're
that's
like,
true.
I got super busy and like I have like 10 weeks of material that I haven't even looked at yet. It keeps
Right.
getting released. And even right now, like I'm a week or two behind.
That would actually really stress me out.
It's very stressful.
Yeah. Based on my personality, like, absolutely not. Yeah.
It
Okay.
definitely like if you start to fall behind, and it's not like the material is super dense in that way. It's like here's a 10 or 15-minute video. Here's a worksheet. Like it's
Yeah.
laid out in a similar, like I took a lot of inspiration from that cohort to
Yeah.
map out the curriculum, the way that our curriculum flows.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed that process. But you're right. It can get stressful when you start to fall behind, and then you feel like you're like, then you join a workshop and you're like, everyone's on week 20 and I'm only on week 12. Like, is it weird? Like what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
So I think for that reason is another reason why we were like, it just cohort complicates the experience in a lot of ways. So how do we how do we course correct? How do we course correct the perception of this program while also maintaining the sense of urgency that a cohort creates?
That's the thing.
It's like the question of
That's the
life.
question of life that we haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
There's many ways that you can, um, create urgency and scarcity, but when you don't actually have urgency and scarcity, it's kind of a gray area of, like, I don't wanna make any of this shit up,
Yeah.
you
I don't
know?
want to lie.
I don't wanna lie, but you could create an actual box and make people fit into it. You could be like, "We only take 10 people a month," and, like, mean it, and then you drop it, you drop registration at 10 and they go on a wait list and they have to wait. I mean, I
Yeah.
know many communities that they run, and then they open up slots every few months and there's a huge wait list and they only let a certain amount of people in. But I don't know. I don't know why that idea stresses me out so much. It stresses me out. It doesn't feel quite
Y-
right.
Yeah. I mean, I will say just the mechanics of our business model getting flooded with 40 people at once is exhilarating and very exciting, and there's so many wonderful things about that. It's very stressful because
Yeah.
I want to respond to all 40
Right. That's the other thing.
things.
Right.
Like I'm up till midnight trying to get back to people, or I'm just days behind. Like so, there's a lot of that comes with this.
It's much more natural to have people just kind of join and we can give up, every new member our full attention.
Right, right. Because now that we have a more like a steadier flow, it's not like ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
because the program was new. And everyone kind of joined at the same time. Like, so the cohort model, like, is like a little overwhelming when trying to help people
Exactly,
do
and
go
can you
through it.
imagine, everyone graduates and then you have to be that busy
Start
again
all,
the next month,
yeah,
and then that busy again the next like, that because I did that.
yeah,
I did, like, 3
yeah,
cohorts in a row, and by the end of it, I wanted to die. I literally burned out, I was so tired.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if each cohort produced enough to make it work, like, I mean, I still have like 7 private coaching clients.
We'd have to be making $100,000, $50,000 each, every
Yeah,
single cohort
every
to make
cohort
it
to
worth
make
it.
it. Yeah, I
I
definitely
just,
agree.
like, I can't.
To also to drop the private coaching or
Yeah,
and stuff like
totally.
that.
Yeah, and
But all right, the bigger lesson here too is like the mechanics of every business model. Because there's a lot of people that want to run private services done for you. They want to do done with you. They want to do a cohort. They want to do a membership. They want to do courses. Like there's a bunch of different things that people want to do. And I think the whole thing is like every model has its pros and cons.
right. Yep.
There are a bunch of reasons why running a group program, even with the access to the resources that we do have, is still very challenging.
Yep.
Like one-to-one services is pretty far. Like when people try to skip doing services, I'm like, this is the easiest way to make money on the internet. Perhaps without a doubt,
Mhm.
the easiest way to make money on the internet. And in this as a soul opener.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like we have complicated our lives significantly by introducing this program into.
I know, but it's just like, I
It's,
know.
it's, it's funny to think about it in
It is
hindsight.
funny, but,
How
like,
difficult. This program has made our lives.
It is very difficult, but it's so rewarding because you get to help so many more people.
Yeah, I was
And
counting it up.
you never know exactly what part of what you said or, like, what's gonna, like, unlock it, and then they have this moment, and it's just extremely exciting and more rewarding for me than just living in a one-to-one room with people. Um,
Yeah. The impact is there's no question the impact of this program is 100 times what one-to-one could be
yeah,
in the sense by in the sense of, I've done this with 30 over 30 people. I counted up all my, like, archived
yeah.
or inactive clients.
There's frustration
Over
too, though,
30.
because with the one-to-one, you can really guide them and, like, see every move they're making and talk
Yeah,
like, with this, like, I'll miss things. Like, it's you just miss things that people are doing, obviously, because you only talk to them every few weeks or, like, whenever they're in the group.
right.
Um,
More probability of success back to that whole
it just
that
yeah, it just gets
sliding
lower no matter
scale.
how much you try to help.
But yes, there's no perfect formula here, but I think the point I'm trying to make is, like, I've been at this for 2-ish years
Yeah,
now, and my inactive client roster is, like, a little over 30 now, and plus the 7 that I'm working with directly right now,
yeah,
and then I look at full stack, and full stack's been around since around Thanksgiving, so December, January, February, so we're, like, 3-ish,
yeah,
and, there's almost 70 people
yeah,
in 3 months that we've been able to, I would like to think, make some difference for.
yeah,
This your ability the ability to do that is not possible one to one in that amount of time. So
right.
that is really, really important in, if you're in the business of making a difference for people who wanna make a difference.
100%. Like, I would be so devastated if I didn't have this group to go into and chat with and be part of, you know?
Yeah.
I love it. It's beneficial
Yeah.
to us too, like,
Oh, yeah, it's a
the
master class.
energy is great, like, it's just like, I don't know, it's a good place to hang
Yeah.
out.
So, I think there's an interesting kinda what we'll call the digital sawdust of doing this work,
Mhm.
which and we can kinda get back to the core thing here in a second, which is, like, how do you really work out the mechanics of making this business a bigger part of your business?
Yeah.
But the digital sawdust of running a group program, there's a lot to be said about creating your own data. I didn't have any I had data points. I had a lot of qualitative data, not a ton of quantitative data. Um, and doing this work, like, you see at a volume not possible in other ways. You have a lot of, like, sales conversations with people for a program like this. Like, you're able to create so much data
Mhm.
around your ICP and the ways that they perceive their problems and the things that they've done to try and solve their problems at a scale that you're not normally used to. And then you take that and you throw a few brain cycles at it, and it makes your marketing so much more effective. It makes you a more effective coach. It makes your product. We've improved our products 10 times since we've launched this thing.
Like,
So it's like,
the MP3 framework came out of the brain cycles of this thing,
yeah,
you know?
all of it. I mean, think about it. You've run the content playbook that you've run with all the clients that you've done privately, and you're like, yeah, it's really, really great. But then all of a sudden you unleash it to 70 people all at once, and then you start to find all the holes in it. Even
Yeah.
the same way that I would teach all of the different things that I teach. It's like, well, when I can sit there and explain it to you,
Yeah, exactly.
like, I don't need it's so much easier. But if I'm not right there to walk you through it step by step, I gotta fix the way that I teach it.
It has been transformational for the way that I think about creating content and strategy and helping others think about strategy and content creation. I feel like I've up leveled so hard the past few months because I've released my program to more and more people and I've talked through it with them and it's just like the holes become so clear.
Yeah.
And like another
Make
thing I'll
your own
just like
data.
mindset wise on that. This is another reason why it's so important to launch things and get it out there before you feel like it's fully ready because even if you do feel like it's ready, it's not ready and it won't be ready until you start to get meaningful feedback from a large amount of people on it. Um so like really like
Yeah.
My message to everyone on that theme is, like, just stop waiting until you feel like it's ready. It's not ready, and that's
Always.
fine. It's never ready,
So,
and you gotta get it
and it's
out
never
there.
done.
It's never done.
It's never done.
I think I feel like I've said to my wife over since I became a solopreneur a couple years ago, at least once a month or at least once every 2 months, I go she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just feel like I'm on the edge of, like, unlocking something really big." You know? Like, and it's like, I never get there. Oh, I do, but then I'm like, "Okay," like, I figured that, like, now I gotta go up another level.
Well, you think you're, like, at the summit, and you're like, "We have arrived," and then you get there, and you're like, "Oh,
Oh,
shit,
shit.
there's so much more to
So
go."
much more to go. But that's, like to me, like, it's hard and annoying, and I wish I could just get to the top of one of those summits and, like, like, there's just a fake wall there for a minute, and I get to, like,
Just
chill.
kinda be there for a bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's probably just a personality thing, but,
Yeah.
look, my point is, like, there's always another mountain to climb, right? So, like,
Mhm.
at least you should at least, like, get it out there and make some money while you're climbing those mountains, you know?
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back on track.
Let's do it.
Mm. Listen for signal. So, we can we can hammer on this concept all day, but it's like how the thing that I wanna figure out here is how do you know what's signal and what's noise? How do you decide? What's your thought process? Like, not I don't expect you to have a framework, but what's your thought process when you see something, you go, "Mm, I should do something about that," or like, "No, that's bullshit," or whatever?
I think when it comes to, like, a part of my program, when someone directly tells me this isn't working, that's probably the strongest signal I follow. Like, if it's not working, I'm not gonna immediately change it, but I'm gonna then go ask all the other people that use it what they think, and I'm gonna take the average of those answers and either do something about it or not. Um, or, and then I'll put my layer of thinking onto it as well. But I always try to, like, get the feedback that I got out to other people. Don't just take the one piece. I never just take one piece of feedback and make a change, like, as
Mm.
a rule. Um,
Okay, so on that point, though, we have received a lot of pieces of feedback or whatever pieces, like signal bits,
yep.
signal bits.
No.
No, what are we? Whatever. We have received many signals that people think this is a cohort,
Yes,
right? So like, we that checks one of your
it
boxes.
does. So because it has checked the box, I think what needs to happen next is we need to get more deliberate. Like, when I have the sales call with this person next week, I'm gonna say to her specifically, before we even start, I'm gonna be like, "Look, you said this, and I just want to ask you right away. Like, what about the messaging made you feel like this was a cohort?" And just
Mhm.
dig deeper into why she said that, and then I'm gonna pretend. I mean, I now everyone's listening to this, like, they know, but, like, I want to ask people inside Full Stack, like, did you think this was a cohort? Why? Like, do you realize
Let's ask them in 30
we
minutes.
should, so, like, go to your customers, be like, "What did you think? Like, why did you think that?" And just start to dig into, like, why people think that, and from the why, then I think we go to the sales page or wherever they're getting these messaging things from and, make little changes in the voice of customer.
Mm,
Like, that's what I would do. But the thing that worries me is, um I don't wanna keep changing the positioning or I just don't wanna confuse people anymore. I feel like we've changed the
yeah,
positioning a lot, and I do kind of just wanna sit with it because not everyone asks, "Is it a cohort?" People, some people get it.
true. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is more people than not
Yeah,
get it.
I think so.
So there's a handful of people who don't.
And that could be and we have to remember too, a lot of the people that are joining this program or reaching out about it have been in my world for a while.
Mhm.
And so they're bringing their own bias to the program because they've only ever seen me run time boxed
Oh.
things. Like, this is the first time I've ever run a thing that's not time boxed. So are they just relating Erica Schneider with time box?
Mhm.
Then it might not
Well,
be a positioning problem. That's just a me problem.
I mean, potentially, but I think the other thing about it, which is aha for me, which is people who are joining have been in the orbit for a while,
Yeah.
right? Nobody just stumbles upon it and immediately joins. I mean, maybe there's like a couple people,
Yeah, I think
but that's
there
not
might
the
be a
that's the
couple people
exception,
who's it's the absolute exception.
right?
We're not getting cold traffic.
Like everyone, yeah, the selling this to cold traffic requires a totally different play. Like this is still the relationship game.
Yep.
Like we talk about relationship programs versus traffic programs. I think this requires more traffic, and because the economics of it do, like the just the sheer dollar amount requires higher volume, but everyone has been you've had some relationship with everyone. You or I
Mhm.
have had a relationship with everyone in here with very few exceptions. Or like, for example, a very close personal friend of mine had a networking call with a friend of his. He's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm going out on my own. I'm doing this own thing." He goes, "Oh, my friend Nick has actually just launched this program.
Yeah.
You should check it out." He bought it, basically no questions asked.
Yeah.
He said, I trust this person, and if he trusts Nick, I'm in."
Yep.
Like it was so either way, there's relationship at play here.
Yep.
So
So, yeah, and people who have been in your orbit are gonna naturally have more things bouncing around in their head where they're gonna be able to alter their reality based on what they think. Uh, I'm really curious. I almost feel like we need a tool like Winter or something, where just a bunch of cold people that don't know us look at the homepage and tell us if it's confusing and what they think it is. Like that's where I'm leaning
yeah.
towards as well. Like I just want to know from an outside perspective if you read the homepage and think this is a cohort. It does say in 90 days, which we did put that on there to make people realize like this is like a program where there's limits. But when people see limits, do they just automatically assume cohort?
Hmm.
Right? I mean, they must. I
Yeah.
I could talk myself in a circle about this all day, and ultimately, I'm just going off of gut feelings, and that's what customer researchers always say don't do. Like, they're what would Anna Furmanov say? She would say, "Just go talk to your customers."
She would just say, "Go talk to your." She would say, "Go talk to your customers." Okay, so I just ran the web page through ChatGPT, and I was like, "All right, maybe it like is there a non-obvious?
Yeah, alright.
Is there something here we miss?" And no, Full Stack Solopreneur is not a traditional cohort-based program. It is a self-paced program with group coaching over 90 days.
Right.
This means participants can start at different times rather than moving through the materials as a synchronized group. However, the presence of the group coaching suggests there may be some live or interactive elements, even if it's not strict cohort model.
You know what else I think would be really useful? Um, and Rob mentioned this to me, but I forgot to mention it to you. Just having, like, an image of just, like, month
Yeah, the
1,
roadmap.
month fucking 2, month 3, month 4, and
Yeah.
at the very beginning of the image, there's, like, a little thing that says, people can join anytime," right? And then it's like,
Yeah.
"In month 1, you'll do that." Like, we need to just make, like, the simplest image that goes along with this and put it at, like, right at the top.
You know what? It just
Did it
don't.
happen?
Yes, you're 100% right.
What's
You're
happened?
100% right. But I also think,
Yeah.
and in the, how is full stack solo different? Unlike most courses, which leave you to piece everything together yourself. So this is what we thought made it different.
Right.
But what really makes it different is the fact that it is
Not a
not
cohort.
a cohort.
So it should go so that should go
That's what goes there. It's unlike cohort-based
Oh my
courses.
god, change it right now. Change
Like,
the
and
website.
basically, what did ChatGPT say? Unlike cohort-based courses,
Yeah,
that means that where the material is synchronized in the like over a period of time,
dude,
this is a self-paced
copy paste that shit.
like I'm like hacking together. It's like this is not a cohort model. Like this
Yeah.
is group coaching means that there are live and interactive components, but it's not a cohort.
Oh man, I hope everyone listening understands as well. Like we've hit record on this conversation, but this is basically how all of our conversations. I'm like,
This
Nick,
is
someone else thought it was a cohort or someone else thought this about the program. And then we just like ramble about it for 30 minutes and then one of us has an aha and we make a small change
this
somewhere.
is how business is
And then
done.
yeah, someone else says something else and we're like, I'm like, Nick. And then we have a conversation about
Yeah.
it and we make a change
And
somewhere else.
yeah. This is a true testament. I'm gonna update the site, by the way. This is a
Yeah,
true
great.
testament to the power of. I consider you a bandmate,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we jam. Like, this is why we call all the stuff jam sessions.
I love it.
Um, Everyone, it's no secret. I'm endlessly inspired by the category pirates, and one of the things it's like, how do you find your business bandmates? Is like a very big concept there.
That's cool.
Um, because all of the best things in my life and in this business have come from jamming with other people and just trying to just see, like, hey, if I play like a little like this and you play a little like that, like, oh, I think this sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, like, finding your business bandmates is crucial, and I think there's a lot of value there that gets overlooked because one, it's like the great irony of us running a group together called about being in business by yourself.
But okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Even when you're an executive or a founder or a CEO at a company of hundreds of people, you very likely still pay for some sort of peer group. You're
Oh,
encouraged to.
100%.
So like fuck the whole like, oh, I work by myself, like I can't like no, like go join a group. Like you're in this group, like great, like join a
Go
group.
find a
Go
bandmate.
find a bandmate. Like it doesn't just because it has the word solo in the name does not mean that you should actually be doing all of this stuff alone.
Completely.
Like damn,
Like, it all started because one day John Benini was like, "Hey, dude, Pete Caputa keeps telling me we should talk. Let's talk."
Yeah.
I was like, "Cool. Pete's been saying the same thing to me too."
Nice.
And then we just jammed for like an hour one day, and it was like, "That was fun. Do you want to do this every month?" I was like, "Sure. That sounds like a lot of fun." And then one day he was like, "Hey, I jam with my friend Andrew a lot. And I feel like we should all just kind of like have a space where we can chat and jam. And like my friend Brendan's involved. Like we talk with him a lot too. Like I made this quick little Slack group. Like it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then you pop in one day, we jam, and it's like all of those like,
Let me find the message too, because I was so psyched when John sent me the invite. And like I know John because we were on a sales call yesterday and you were telling the person about how like when I first started as a solo, I was on networking calls like 5 times a week. And
yeah,
it's true. Like I was talking to people all the time and John Benini is one of those people. Like I um reached out to him. I mean, I can probably find the yeah, look at this. September 20th, 2023. Um I said, "Hey, I'm in a similar position as you just were." Based on his LinkedIn content. I'm about to leave my full-time job and go all in, so I'm quite keen to pick your brain and of course share anything I've learned so far as I've been building up my business. Want to hop on a Zoom this week or next? And he said, "Absolutely." Like I used to send messages like that all the time to people. And so anyway, this is just to connect full circle. John then messaged me on February 15th, 24. So we'd met a few times. And he said, I want to schedule our next catch up, but also in the meantime, do you want to join this Slack group I just started with a few solo friends? There's only 4 others in there so far. So John thought of you, like his good friend he'd been chatting with for a while, Andrew Brendan, and then me. Cause I'm like in his ear, like we should be friends. And anyway, that's how Nick and I met, is really why we're telling this story.
yeah,
Like it's just crazy.
yeah.
It's all
It's insane.
you don't know where relationships are gonna lead.
The power of jamming with people, and like, here's like the weird thing that where things tend to get a little weird is like in my mind, I was like, it ends up just kind of being free work, at least on my end, because a lot of the stuff that we end up jamming on is the stuff that I sell.
Well, yeah, it's difficult for you. You definitely get the short end of the stick on networking chats because
I don't,
everyone wants to
I don't think so.
pick your brain.
I don't think so. Because like one of the things I'm always telling people is like, if you're not willing to do it for free, you're not going to do it for money.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you got to
And
be
you've turned a
way
lot of
more
those
missionary.
free calls into clients too, which you're very good at. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
like I can
included.
tell you, I can tell you everything. I can tell you the whole thing, but it doesn't mean people are going to do it or they're going to execute on it well. There are very few people who are capable of executing on the thing that you do for people for money because it's hard.
Mhm.
Like it's like and if they're capable of doing it without you, they were never going to pay. buy it anyway.
Yeah, one of my clients told me yesterday, he was like, "Look, I don't want you to take offense to this because you are great, but, like, I get my money's worth out of you just by having the call in my calendar." I was like, "Dude, you can think whatever you want about me as long as you're happy and you keep giving me money."
As long as this is valuable for
If you
you and
wanna
it
pay
makes
me
a
for a
difference,
calendar reminder, like, I'm happy to take your money, you know?
as long as it makes a difference for you, I don't
Yeah.
care.
It was funny, though.
Um,
I like when people are honest like that.
I want to take a brief break from their regularly scheduled programming and remind people that don't let your toddler near your desk. So what you can't see right now, what Erica can see is that my desk is sideways. Like,
Yeah, what just happened?
so my toddler broke the uppy downy button on my desk.
Oh, no.
And so they don't make this desk anymore. Like the company got bought out and then they stopped making the desk. So they don't make accessories anymore. They got bought out by Herman Miller, which doesn't make any sense because they make super expensive stuff. Here's the point. Here's the point I'm trying to make. He broke the button. So you have to go out and find a different button. So I went on Reddit and they were like, oh, go to this other company. Their button fits and it works fine.
Mhm.
It works. Every once in a while, it doesn't work fine. And the legs get like they're not synced up anymore. And so like only one leg goes down and then the whole thing just like shits the bed. So now I'm here with only one leg going down. My desk is at like a 45-degree angle.
Were you trying to sit
And
down? Is that how this all started?
and so like you end up having to like slowly but surely ratchet it down like bit by bit. I've figured out the trick. At one point my desk was stuck like this for like 3 hours because I couldn't figure it out. And now I figured out how to do it. And you get them all the way down, and then you resync the legs, and then it works again for like another few days. So, moral of the story: don't let your toddler near your desk and press all the buttons. Like I turned around and I was like, "Why is this button broken?" Oh, Logan just jammed it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
My
So,
kid
anyways,
my one of my kids was messing with my buttons this morning, and like, because my dad came over, and I was like, "Dad, we don't let them in my office, specifically because I don't want them to break my desk.
yeah, and
Get
and
them
and
out. Let's go."
I don't know. Maybe it was just the way that this desk button was that it like he could press on it in a certain way and like rip it in half. Like it was like a touch sensitive button. It was so stupid. It was a stupid design. But anyway,
I wish
so
you
we're
guys could
almost
see what
there.
see right now. Nick is just leaning awkwardly over his microphone, trying to
Like
still have good
like
sound,
it's
and
crooked. Like look,
he's like trying to get his desk down. He's clearly struggling so.
I know I'm almost there. Like the left leg is all the way down, the right leg is almost down. And so they will sync back up in a second here. All right, anyway. I got to do this in the next 11 minutes before this group coaching call
Oh
starts.
god. I feel like we've come to a natural end anyway with this conversation. We could
Yeah,
probably
this
just
is a
wrap
good
it
place
up.
to end. I feel like I'm gonna leave this in the recording because I just feel like people should hear this is what we're like. This is what we are. This is who we are. I always jokingly tell you that you're unapologetically Erica.
You
Mm.
are unapologetically Nick.
Like this is where we're at right now.
This is
This is what it's like.
hilarious.
I'm like anyway. All right, I'm gonna just end this.
All right, goodbye everybody.